Hi there. This video is part 3 in the series of videos explaining what the learner needs to do to maximise their marks in the Pearson BTEC Level 3 Unit 6 Microcontroller External Exam. This video is going to specifically look at what's required for Activity 1. Activity 1, 10 marks, so it's not a major component. Every mark counts, however. It's an activity that traditionally isn't particularly well done by learners. So let's look at what we can do to maximise the marks for Activity 1. So the first thing that a learner can do is offline before the exam, create a Word file, format it out. So for example, if the tutor was guiding the learner to do 4 3-hour sessions over 2 days, then you can set out a Word file in terms of creating a project plan / logbook, an electronic diary. So what the example in here is, you create a Word file that's got 4 sections in it, section 1, 2, 3 and 4. What are we going to put in these sections? So the first section or the first session that you're going to do is you're going to look at a project plan. So every project using sensible, logical methodologies to achieve successful outcomes must have a written project plan. Personally, I wouldn't bother doing a Gantt chart. I believe that tends to confuse learners. What you want is a very simple written project plan, just bullet pointed out, with timelines in there. So that's the first thing you're going to put into session 1 into your Word file that can be done offline pre-exam. So the project plan, what are you going to do? You're going to analyse the design brief that you're given from Pearson. You're going to create a design spec. You're going to create a test plan. You're going to do system design, for example, doing the code structure, the pseudocode. What hardware systems are you going to need? How are you going to link them together? You're going to do the system build. You're going to code it. You're going to test and document all the results and provide a video testimony. So that can have timelines at the end of these, just simple, very simple bullet point, and that is your basic project plan. Within that Word file, you're going to show progress. What is the progress in session 1? What were the issues that you came up against and the action points for the next session? What the marker wants to see is development activities have been carried out in the appropriate order. So that's what you're doing session by session. For each session, you're going to detail progress, detail the issues, detail the action points. For the next session, there are 5 marking traits, and the priority trait is trait 4. So in trait 4, to maximise the marks, what the learner should do is provide supported justification of the changes that have been made to the original designs. The examiner, the marker, wants to say logical chains of reasoning between what you've mapped out in your project plan, what you learn as you go along, and they want to see, effectively, they want to see the changes that you've made, why you've made those changes, and how you have learned by doing. So as you go along, you will plan out, for example, your system build and plan out your coding. So for example, when you're doing the project plan and when you're doing the test plan, you may not implement, for example, a hardware interrupt to immediately take account of an emergency event, for example. And as you go along, you realise that in the code that's not happening quick enough. So as you go through the learning process, you may well reflect, and you will implement the changes so that you will implement a hardware interrupt service routine within the code. And so that's an example of a change, and explain why you've done that. So all of this can be set out in a pre-loaded Word file, and that can be done pre-exam. Obviously, as you're going through the exam, you're going to provide the details, but anything you can do in terms of preloading a Word file and to kick off the exam out with the 12 hours is going to help the learner gain the maximised marks. So just to summarise, what we need to do here is we need to show we need to justify the changes we've made as we go through the design process. We need to show logical chains of reasoning, and that will maximise the marks. So every mark counts. While it's 10 marks out of 80, every mark counts. Traditionally, learners sometimes do a fairly poor effort on this. Anything that you can do before the actual exam starts, as in a preloaded Word file, as we've explained on the whiteboard here, will help your learners gain the maximum amount of marks. Thank you for watching. Please put comments in the box below.